You know, this one was a lot harder than what I thought.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no...
Hello everyone and welcome back to Pitch This here on the MrEliMac YouTube channel. I'm your host, MrEliMac, and today I'm doing a topic that popped up in my little comment section as a request, and it's really something I never actually thought of ever, of doing a pitch like this, because it was a topic I never thought I would ever think about. But then once I saw it and I thought about it, I thought of two different ways to do this little topic and discussion. So if you're a little vague, if I'm being a little too vague, I am doing a Suicide Squad series pitch. And I mean, you saw the title, you saw the thumbnail, you know what this video is. And when I say it was a little bit hard for me to do this, it was very much because there are two different ways you really could do a Suicide Squad series. You could do an HBO Max or just HBO version of it where you could be a little bit more R-rated, you could be a little bit more hard R-rated with it and like get away with a lot more violence. Or you could do a network television version like NBC, ABC, Fox, CBS, one of those versions, like one of those channels. And you can sort of do that type of show with it. And I started thinking about it and I was thinking, man, I know everyone really wants me to do an HBO version and like sort of the more hardcore hard R version of it and sort of plan out the series, but I think it would be interesting to also do a network television version of the show. So very much this video is going to be me doing just pitching the first seasons of these shows and doing an HBO version and doing a network television version. Because the network television version was very much the one where I was like, you can't really do season-long storylines. I mean, you can. I mean, Flash and Arrow and all the other CW TV shows have done that. But when it came to Suicide Squad specifically, I was very much like, oh, you can't really do a season-long arc with it unless you wanted to do it sort of like the TV show 24, and I really didn't want to do it like 24 where each episode is just an hour of the day, and I really didn't want to do that with this network version. So instead of doing it like that, I'm just doing something that you would see on a network television show. And this was something that I think the network television one was a little bit harder, but also I was able to minimize what I really needed to do with it. And so yeah, I'm going to be pitching both an HBO version of the Suicide Squad and a network television version. But before I actually get into the pitches, please make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That way you can be up to date with all the videos I have here on the channel. Also hit the notification bell. That way you can be notified whenever a new video like this comes your way. And so I'm very much going to start with the HBO version, and the HBO version is the hard R version, the version where we're going to get a little bit more team members on the team because we got to kill some people. We got to kill members of our Suicide Squad to very much understand the threat of the show. And I would look at this as sort of like a 10-episode season, and the entire season, the entire 10 episodes is based on this one mission where it's just Amanda Waller, director of Argus, assembles this team and she puts them together and sends them overseas. Like, that's very much the first episode of Amanda Waller getting the team together and then sending them overseas, and episodes 2 through 10 are very much them going on the mission. And we sort of see how the team works together, the team members that die, the team members that don't die, and very much like who their main threat is. And when I was looking at like the roster for this team specifically, just specifically for this team, I was looking at all of them and I was like, who could I put on this team? Like, I have no idea who I could put on this team. So I decided to do a mix of the classic 1980s run of the comics and the New 52 modern era of the run, and sort of take members from both teams, specifically though from the 80s run. So the team that we would see in season 1 is Rick Flag, who would be the team leader, field team leader, Floyd Lawton's Deadshot, Ben Turner, Bronze Tiger, Digger Harkness, Captain Boomerang, Harleen Quinzel, Harley Quinn, Nanawe, King Shark, Betty San Soshi, aka Plastique, Christopher Weiss, aka Slipknot, Leah Wasserman, aka Mindboggler, and Karen Grace. And really the only members that really appeared in the newer version, like the modern version, are King Shark and Harley Quinn. The rest are very much more inspired off of the classic run, and it was very much the reason why a lot of the characters are based off of the classic run was because a majority of those characters are the ones that don't make it out of season 1 alive, and it was just easier to do that, where it's just, okay, who are the characters that I can easily from the show? And I just looked at the 80s roster and I was like, oh, this one, this one, this one, this one. And so it was just easier to just pick from that. Also, I didn't want too large of a team. I wanted sort of like a slimmer roster. That way, when I needed to take out people, I would know who to take out. And I'll just run down the members of the team that really don't make it to the end of the show. And so Mindboggler is one of the first people that meets her end. Slipknot is, of course, the member of the team that gets tricked into running away and then gets his head exploded. Plastique is a character that makes it probably to episode 8, and then that's when she gets when she bites the dust. Karen Grace, who is sort of the team medic on the team and also a volunteer, she doesn't make it out. She really makes it around maybe episode 7. That's when she gets killed off. Slipknot dies in episode 2. Mindboggler, I would have her die in like episode 4. And the character that would die and like who I would have as my shocking death, like, oh, we're killing this character? Okay. That would be Bronze Tiger. He would be sort of the character on this team that is more of the heroic character, and the character that people look at as sort of like, oh, he did some bad things, but that's only because he was doing them for a good reason and a heroic reason, so that's the only reason why he's on the team. But he would very much sacrifice himself to save the team, and he would be the one that would do the heroic sacrifice of, oh, this is the character that people are going to remember being sort of a good guy in the show and not so much a bad guy in the show. And so he would die sort of episode 10, saving the day. And if you didn't pay attention, if you didn't notice, the characters that did survive were Rick Flag, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, Harley Quinn, and King Shark, who coincidentally were sort of like the main characters of the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League video game. That was unintentional. Like, honestly, I'm someone that very much likes Deadshot and Captain Boomerang on my team because they're sort of the characters that are always returning. It's like, it's always Deadshot and Captain Boomerang who are always in some form of the team. So I was like, okay, those two are obviously staying. Harley Quinn, she's staying because she's the fan favorite character, and I wanted King Shark to stay because he is the muscle on my team, and I wanted him to be one of the characters that stay because he's the muscle. And I kept Rick Flag because I wanted my field team leader to survive. Also, he would go on the arc of looking at them as just criminals and convicts, and then by the end of season 1 he looks at them and was like, yeah, this is my team, this is the team that I am working with. And yeah, that's sort of his arc. And Amanda Waller, she would mainly appear in episode 1, and we would hear her voice sporadically through the comms, but ultimately she only appears in 2 episodes, and that's episode 1 and episode 10 if it was a 10 episode show. And the main antagonist of the first season of this HBO version would be Jeffrey Burr, and aka Cobra, and the Cobra Cult. And it would be very much Amanda Waller is noticing that some of the political allies to the United States are being threatened by the Cobra Cult, and some political allies are being killed by the cult. And so Amanda Waller assembles the Suicide Squad and sends them over to the overseas to take out the Cobra Cult, and again, they start getting taken out because they have a Suicide Squad. And at the end, they take out the Cobra Cult, they kill Jeffrey Burr, and it's just down to Deadshot, Boomerang, Harley Quinn, King Shark, and Rick Flag. And Bronze Tiger would do the heroic sacrifice. He would be the one that would fully redeem himself, even though he was mainly a heroic character to start with. But yeah, that's very much what the first season of the HBO version would be. And so later on, and to continue on expanding what the HBO version would be, it would just be every season, like the core 5 members of the team that would be in every season would be Rick Flag, Deadshot, Boomerang, Harley Quinn, and King Shark. They're sort of like the core 5. And each season there would be new members added to the team and just go on different missions throughout. Like, I would want to take different members from like the classic roster and the modern rosters and the roster from like the 90s and the 2000s and all those different rosters, and like have them in the show. That way we wouldn't just have here are the main 5 and they're the only 5 that we follow. Like, we would get different members, and I wouldn't have it always be just, oh, here's a Batman villain, we're adding them. Like, I would want to spread it out to different villains throughout. But ultimately the main 5, the core 5, would be Rick Flag, Deadshot, Boomerang, Harley Quinn, and King Shark. And maybe throughout the show we'd keep one other character around, but then that would be it. They wouldn't return for the next season. It would just, the main 5 that we would just see are Rick Flag, Deadshot, Boomer, and Harley, and King Shark. I mean, there's really nothing much to say. It's just those are the 5 that I would very much sell the show on. It's like, these are the core 5. And even in the show, in season 1, I would also have Bronze Tiger be one of the major characters and have it be like, oh, these are the core 6. Here are the 6 that will always be in all the seasons. And then when we kill Bronze Tiger, it's like, oh, they were advertising this guy as like he was one of the main people that he would be returning. So maybe the other members won't return as we think, and just those would be the core 5. Bronze Tiger is very much the Ned Stark of the show, where we're serving him up as sort of, this is the main character, and then he dies, and everyone's like, oh, if this guy is dying, then any of the main characters can die. And then that's how the HBO version would go, and they would go through different threats throughout the world. And yeah, that's sort of the HBO version of the show. And then I'm gonna go over to the network TV version, which was different, because this one was a little bit harder. And if this were a show like on network television, I wouldn't call it the Suicide Squad, and I wouldn't call it Suicide Squad. I would just call it Task Force X, because I'm thinking about network TV like NBC, CBS, ABC, and Fox, and CW, and all those other networks that aren't cable. And I very much think to myself that I don't think they would want their TV show to be called Suicide Squad or The Suicide Squad. Like, I think they would want to try to look at it differently and try to find a different way to tell this story of the show. And so they would just call it Task Force X, and it would very much be a mission of the week type show where Amanda Waller assembles her core 4 team, and they would just go on a mission every single week and dealing with terrorist, overseas threats, in-country threats throughout. And maybe throughout there would be like a different type of evil organization hovering throughout the season, but ultimately they wouldn't be the main focus of an entire season. It would very much be, this show would very much be mission of the week. Sort of like how CSI and NCIS are very much police procedural type shows, where every single week it's a new case, it's a new murder, so we gotta solve the murder and all that. This would very much just be the main mission, like a new mission every single week. And sort of, I mentioned that there were only 4 members of the team, and I stuck it with 4 because I was just trying to think, whenever you look at a sort of network television show where there are major members of the team, like specifically I'm thinking about NCIS Los Angeles, where the main characters that are going out to solve the crimes are mainly just only 4 characters. In NCIS Los Angeles, it was Chris O'Donnell, LL Cool J, and the 2 other characters. I can't remember those actors and actress, and I apologize to them. But it's mainly those 4 that are really going out and getting their hands dirty. And so I was thinking of it that way, where Amanda Waller is very much the one staying at base, sort of serving as the eyes and ears for the team, and the main 4 are the ones that are going out. And the main 4 are Rick Flag, who would be the field team leader, again, just like in the other one, Deadshot, Bronze Tiger, and Plastique. Betty San Sochi. She would very much be the female member of the team, and I purposely didn't use Boomerang, Harley Quinn, or King Shark because, again, I'm thinking about network television, and King Shark, probably too much for the budget. Harley, I was looking at her and thinking, well, when it comes to network TV, I don't think that they would be able to do it because of the rights issues, because I think 20th Century Fox and now Disney owns the TV rights to a Batman TV show, so can't really use Harley, so I'm not going to use Harley. Boomerang is just such an outlandish character, that like using boomerangs as the weapon, that I'm thinking that some networks really wouldn't be behind using Captain Boomerang on their team. And so when I was looking at it, I'm like, Rick Flag, the soldier character, you can believe he can do it. Deadshot literally just has a gun and has great aim. You can use that. Bronze Tiger is the ninja character in hand-to-hand combat, and you can make that easy. Plastique, though she has the power of exploding things, I mean, I think can be done easily on network television, where it's just have her hold out her hand, boom, something blows up, and also you can use her as she was a part of the military as well, so she has military training as well, so she can do hand-to-hand stuff, but also do, like, the explosion thing. Then if her power is actually, like, she has to hold on to something, sort of like a Gambit thing. I don't know if that's her power suit, where she has to do a Gambit thing of holding something, charge it up to explode, and then throw it. If that's her thing, then yeah, you can do that easily on network television on a network TV budget. And so yeah, that's very much the team that I would have for the network TV. And again, Plastique is someone from the classic era of the team. So I just think, like, if you're gonna do it that way, that's something you can do for network TV to make it easy for network TV to do it. And yeah, that's basically the pitch for both an HBO version and a network TV version. I know this video is probably not gonna get a lot of people agreeing with me, because I think some people would have preferred me just to full out explain an HBO version of the show, but I really wanted to try to test myself with the network version as well. And I think a network version, though probably not as loved as the HBO version, I think a network TV version could work. And who knows, maybe as the show continues on, maybe they can start adding different members to the roster, or maybe, like, if they were to go for like 7 seasons, maybe like in a season 2 or 3, one of the main core 4 is killed, and then we have to add a new member to the core 4, and, like, you know, stuff like that. But that's just the basic premise of that. But what were your thoughts on the Suicide Squad Task Force X series pitches? Did you like them? Did you hate them? Were you indifferent to them? Whatever your thoughts, post them in the comments down below. Also, again, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That way you can be up to date with all the videos I have here on the channel. Also, hit the notification bell. That way you can be notified whenever a new video like this comes your way. Also, I will be getting to a Q&A video, I promise. Just need more questions, guys. Please, if you have a question for me for a Q&A, please give me your questions. I would really love to have the questions. But until then, I've been Mr. EliMac. You've been the audience, and I hope you all have a great rest of the day.